You guys ready for episode 5? Retouch. It's Tuesday. I think I have paint all over my face. I don't really know. Finally finished my pattern. And now it's time for me to go in and do some touch-ups on the objects. I still have them set up over here, and I'm talking about all the different ways that you can bring sunken in oil paint back to life. We have some options. We can use oil, just a thin layer of oil, thinned out with a little mineral spirits or turpentine will work, and it'll give it a really nice glossy flavor, and you'll be really excited about it, but there is a downside. Oil yellows with time, and I've noticed on some of the paintings that I've done where I don't even oil out all that much. I'll get little yellow lines. If you oil out something and you don't paint into the oil and you don't wipe it off, then you're going to have some weird yellowy streaks 6 months, a year later. So we have other options. The one that I'm going to employ today is what's called Retouch varnish. It's sold in the art store near the mediums. It comes in a couple different forms. I'm going to use the liquid retouch today, and I'll show you how I put that on. But there's also spray retouch, which is really awesome if you're making a bigger painting and you just want to bring back the whole section before. So like if you're working top down or in parts and you want to bring everything back to what it looked like when you painted it so that you can join with appropriate colors and values. This works really well. I'm not going to spray retouch this because the background is still a little wet. So I don't want to go, retouch is essentially a really thin varnish, and you don't really want to go putting varnish into wet paint. You kind of can. Some mediums have varnish in them, but it doesn't seem like a good idea. So I'm going to use this retouch. This is the Winsor Newton kind. I haven't found a huge difference from brand to brand. Also super flammable, so I'm going to put out my cigarette right now. Safety first. Alright, so I've got a bristle, smallish bristle, and I dipped it in the retouch. And let's see. There we go. I'm just going to hit these guys with a layer. Now what I forgot to say yesterday about titanium white is that it's a super slow dryer. And I made my post about titanium white without mentioning that. So I painted these dudes last week, and I'm even a little worried today about, see, it's picking up a little bit of that white. And if I pick it up on the brush too much, I'll start bringing it over into parts that don't need to have white in them, and that's no bueno. So there's rather a lot on there right now, so what I'm going to do is kind of get it out of my brush on a paper towel and then scrape. This is why I like to use a bristle, because it allows me to really move it around. You don't want it to gunk up. If it gunks up, or worse, if it drips and dries, you'll have little drips dried in your paint, and that looks terrible. So you can see it's kind of bringing back some of his luster. And then super insider's trick is if you're retouching something and you don't know what you've touched and what you haven't, you kind of get under it. It's definitely not going to work in the video, but in real life you get under it and you can see the parts that are wet and the parts that are dry. You just kind of have to tilt the panel or the canvas so that you get some reflection from the light on it. And I just have to move my head because I don't feel like taking my panel down. But I'm going to retouch him, and then I'm going to go around and touch up his edges, and I'll post them to Instagram later.